This is Chris, the Idaho Painter here on Paint Life TV. Today we've got a couple metal garage doors back here. They look like wood, but they're metal. We're going to be spraying them with an airless sprayer. I'm going to be using a Titan Impact 410, a RX Pro gun with a 30-inch gun extension. And this is going to be the whole process of spraying garage doors. I'm going to show you how to do it. That way, if you're a do-it-yourselfer and had your garage doors damaged, had some panels replaced, or whatever, you just need to repaint your garage doors. These are oxidized, just worn out, need to be repainted. We're going to show you the entire process, so stay tuned for this video. So I'm getting ready to do the spraying right here. I like to put my paint inside of a 5-gallon bucket. That way it's less likely to tip over. So I'm going to be loading up the sprayer here. Just going to take lid off my paint, set it inside my 5, and we'll get this thing loaded up. But now, if you just had it in a single gallon sitting on the grass, I've done that many times in the past and it's actually tipped over. So, and then I like to have a secondary bucket. I'm going to stick my intake tube right into my paint, get a secondary bucket to prime with. Now I've got multiple doors I'm spraying here, so it's going to take more than a gallon of paint. So I'm going to top off my paint with my second gallon, and that's acting as boxing the paint too. Make sure you have color consistency. So I'm going to be sticking on, chosen a Titan High Production 515 tip to spray these doors with. And that's when we spray exteriors, typically the whole exterior is sprayed with a 515 tip, and the trim around the door, it's really narrow and I don't need a 10-inch wide fan, so I'll switch over once I start to do the trim to, I think I'm going to use a 208. So I've got on my gun extension, and being as short as I am, I don't have to reach as much as high or down low with the extension. I always spray with an extension 100% of the time that I spray. So I've got this ready to go, and we'll get ready to spray it here. So now I'm just about ready to spray the doors. Just some added insurance. You really should have a drop cloth down if you haven't had a lot of experience airless spraying. Once again, you'll probably see a lot of my videos where I don't use a drop cloth because your overspray typically will never, well, say typically, it's never happened to me where I've got it on the concrete with just 2 rows of paper. But so I got a drop cloth down now ready to go, and I'll do some final taping because I see some spots where the tape pulled away down here from the weather strip. I don't want to get any paint on these weather strips. Just check that real quick. All right, here we go. Got my respirator. Always want to wear a respirator when you're spraying indoors or outdoors. I do, some people might have some questions about my tool bag and what's in the tool bag. I'm going to make a video here coming out shortly of the tool bag I wear, why I wear it, and what I keep inside of it, all the essential tools. I spray the door. This is how I spray a door. I spray it from top to bottom, and I spray it from left to right. I'm right-handed and I like to go from left to right. You can spray the opposite direction if you're left-handed, but top to bottom, here's the theory behind that. If I spray it from top to bottom, I only walk this distance one time. And I do see people doing it, side to side like this. And how many times do you have to walk this door, to actually get it sprayed when you spray it that method? The grain does run this way, even though it is a metal door, but it does not you don't ever see any type of lap marks flashing or anything by going up and down. I've been doing it that way for 18 years and it looks great. So when you start to add up as a professional painter how many times you'll walk this door, if you go from side to side, you know, from end to end like that over a career like mine, 18 years now, it's thousands of times you would be walking that versus just, you know, the one time. I'll make one trip on both of these doors and that's it, one trip for each door. And then the next thing is the extension. I see a lot of guys not using extensions and bending over. When you start to add that up over and over a professional career that lasts, you know, years and years, like mine, 18. I've got 3 back surgeries now. Has nothing to do with painting, but to me, just that whole bending over and reaching, it's just a lot better to have a gun extension. They do spit, but a spit, you're never gonna see it on a grain surface like this on an exterior. You typically never have to worry about spits. If it was a smooth surface with no grain, then it's an issue. But another thing, controlling spits, I have a video on that you can check out. Controlling spits is you never start or stop on or off your surface or on your surface. So you wanna take and release the trigger when you're off your surface and start it when you're off your surface. But here we go, we're gonna spray this door. And the great thing about spraying is it's one time, one coat. It's all you have to do because we're gonna be overlapping it 50%. So that's looking really good there. That is one coat. You probably noticed I was getting a little bit of fingering or what we call tailing. I got a brand new tip. I had the pressure full up. I turned it down a little bit. These high production tips, you're gonna get a little bit of that. If this was a smooth surface, I'd probably switch over to like a Titan HEA tip, which gives a better feathered edge. But on a surface like this, and I was staying back far enough that the tailing wasn't leaving heavy marks. So you'll never see that on this door right here. It looks really good. I got a good heavy coat on there and that is good to go. And we're gonna move over and get this next door ready. I'm gonna raise this up before it dries. If this dries, you may get some bridging along the weather strip right here. And it's happened to me in the past where it's dried, then you go to raise the garage door opener without sticking, say, a 5-in-1 tool in there or something, and it actually will, the garage door will go to pull it up and it'll be stuck to the weather strips and it'll rip the garage door right out of the back of the door. So if you don't raise it up now while it's wet, make sure you run a tool in there to break that seal that may have happened when it dries. I like to pull off this masking too off the back side while it's still wet too, so I don't get any bridging underneath here, and the masking just comes off a lot easier while the tape is wet with paint. So I'm going to pull that off. We will get some questions about, you know, behind the weather strip. Do you paint behind the weather strip? I have had that requested to me to do a few times in the past by customers. We've done that, and in extreme heat situations, the weather strip will eventually tack to the back of the garage door to the paint, and it can stick and once again rip the garage door out. And it's happened to me in the past, so from personal experience and having to replace, you know, doors, we never paint behind the weather strip. When the door comes down, you cannot see it at all. You may get some settling and settling and movement of the door over the years, and you may, you know, have to touch it up, and it's very, very rare that that happens. But painting behind the weather strip is very, very risky to getting what we call paint tack and the weather strip gluing itself to the garage door in extreme heat. These doors will get up to about 140 degrees at sometimes during the summertime. So I'm going to pull this masking off on the other side. So it looks like to do, you know, those two doors, it took about 3/4 of a gallon. I had 2 gallons, only needed 3/4. The trim is going to be a really dark color called black box. Those doors, the color was virtual taupe. Okay, now I got to my sprayer. I got a Titan 440 impact setup right here. I'm going to be spraying the trim. I could have just used the same sprayer and swapped out hoses, or if I had 3/4 of a gallon, I could have just probably loaded it up. It would have been enough to load up in that sprayer, but I had 2 sprayers sitting here, one with a short hose. It doesn't take much to load up, and I figured I'd just use that. And it's got a 25-foot whip hose on it. If I'm using a craft cardboard shield holder to shield right here where I can spray the weather strip right here, and then I'll spray the rest of that right there. So I'm going to show you what it looks like right now. Now the trim's all sprayed on that door. Now I'm going to head over and we'll shoot the trim on this door, and then it's going to be all done. We'll pull the masking and we'll see what it looks like. So I guess this will be a little bit of a review on this tip. I shot this with a 208, and this is a Tri-Tech tip 208. This little thing hanging on here, when you try to reverse it, it's getting in the way. That's very annoying. I don't need that tag on there. It's a 208, but it actually sprays like a 108, which is, or only 2 inches. So you'll take your first number times by 2, and it'd be 4. It'd throw a 4-inch pattern. It's not throwing a 4-inch pattern at all. It's throwing a 2-inch pattern, which would be typical of all tips being a 108. And in the spray pattern, it's supposed to be a fine finish tip. It's not given nearly the finish I would expect. Wouldn't recommend using that tip at all. All right, so we got the garage doors all sprayed, the trim all sprayed. Just one of the things, the differences from, when we got here, I was gonna hand brush and roll the trim, and we ended up spraying it because it was metal. We didn't realize it until we got here, but it's all done, ready to go. And about these 2 doors and the trim would typically take me, if I wasn't going through this whole video process, about 2 hours to mask and shoot both of these doors and spray that trim. There's the final product. It looks brand new. Customer's really happy. We even sprayed their light for them while the door was drying. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have, give me a thumbs up. Leave some questions and comments down below if you have any. We love to hear what you have to say, any tips and tricks you got. If you got any questions about this process that I didn't explain in the video, I'm more than happy to answer them down below. Check us out on Instagram, check us out on Facebook. We got some really cool little short tips and tricks there also. And once again, hopefully we'll see you on our next video. Out.